Okay, we're starting Kufla Medalid Seif Gimel. Again, Yayin Nesa. Okay, Mayim Shenit Arvu B'Yayin, or Yayin B'Mayim. So if you're going to mix water, I believe any liquid, but let's read it inside. You're going to mix water with wine or wine with water. Okay. For the laws of Bittul, it doesn't matter if it's water. That we'll get to later. But the general issue of mixtures, so then either way, it's been notain tam. It goes by notain tam. If it's batal b'shishim, it's mutter. Batal b'notain tam. Batal b'tam, then it's mutter. Why? Mipnei shehem min b'she'eno mino. Because wine with water is min b'she'eno mino. It's two different foods. Okay.
Water doesn't have an agave flavor. It's only dilute.
Okay. Let's keep going. Bamed v'remorim shenafal hamashke hamuter letoch hamashke ha'aser. Now, first of all, we're talking about if a mutter liquid falls into a liquid that's iser. Aval, it's going to be even more mekel when we keep reading. Aval, im nafal hamashke ha'aser letoch hamashke hamuter. If you're going to have iser being poured into, right? You're going to have iser, wine, stam yenam, iser that's being poured into a mutter drink. So then, even though it's not batel b'shishim, even if it's not batel b'tam, it's still mutter. Why? We say rishon batel. As it pours in, it initially gets batel right away, right? It's not exactly tata gavar, that's more by heating, but it's a similar concept. It first falls in, and it becomes batel as it enters. V'hu sheyoreh b'tzir tzur katan, we learned this already, it's when you're pouring out from a small pitcher, a normal bottle. Shahaya merik v'yared me'at, because it pours out slowly, a small flow, right? It's a small flow. Right. It's not an issue of speed. It's not an issue of speed. It's an issue of it's not a huge waterfall. It's a small flow. Okay? Now, the next line we're going to read. V'im nisrabe hamashke ha'aser. Starting from here. V'im nisrabe. Now, if you're pouring iser into heter, and after you keep pouring the bottle, now you add enough that it's not going to be batel b'shishim anymore. It's not going to be batel atam. You ended up pouring a whole bottle, and now you taste it. Ad sheyesh bo kedei litain ta'am oser, and now it's going to add flavor. It osers it. Okay. So at first glance, I have to tell you now, but you're going to see this in the Ramah and the Nosei Kelim. He's being soter himself. It's a complete stira. We'll have to answer it, so it's not necessarily a stira at all. But at first glance, he's soter himself. First he said, it's rishon batel. Even if you taste it, it doesn't matter. It's still mutter. And then he says, but wait, then if you taste it, it's asa. So what is it? So it's clearly that the Shulchan Aruch holds rishon is batal, and it's not choser v'neor. It doesn't, as you start pouring the whole bottle, now all of a sudden you realize, whoa, I taste it. Now it becomes aser. The Shulchan Aruch doesn't hold of that, and he holds, well, it depends. So the Shach and the Gra basically are saying the same thing, that the Shulchan Aruch holds that v'im nisrabe, it's a new opinion. The Shach says you should add the words v'yeshomrim, because it's a new opinion that the Shulchan Aruch does not hold of. And the Shulchan Aruch and the Gra both paskel in the halacha that it's mutter, and we're going to see the Ramah and the Shach paskel like this yeshomrim, that's choser v'neor and it's aser. Okay, the Be'er Heitev, quoting the Bach, says this extra line, V'im Nisrabe, it sounds like it's a stira. So they explain how the Shulchan Aruch is not soter himself. Either he should have put Yesh Omrim, that we saw, or they say it's referring to when you pour out of a large barrel and you have a huge, like we saw already yesterday. Okay, let's keep reading. V'heichiu hamayim asurim. How in the world do you get water that's asur? So the Shulchan Aruch tells you, kagon shehayu nevadim or takrovas la'avodah zara, because it could be where it was served for avodah, or is brought as or for avodah zara. Okay, fine. Let's go on. Rama, Haga, Dvar Bekan Sotrim Zed Zed. This is a stira. We've just explained. The katav the im nafal amashkas heter rishon batal. You just told me it's mutter, even if you could taste it. V'yacharkach katav dim nisrabe eser chozer ve'oser, and then it becomes aser. So which one is it? So hu machlokas bein aposkim. That's a machloket rishonim. Ule'inyan dina. The Ramah holds the halacha is svara achrona ikar that we say chozer v'neor.
He's saying like the shop.
The Shach is saying, right? Correct. Dalit. Okay, let's read Seif Dalit. Bor shel yain shenafal letocho kiton shel mayim techila. V'yachar kach nafal letocho yain nesech. So now, there's a Reisha and a Seifa. There's two parts to this Seif. So the first case is we're dealing with yain nesech, which is aser de'araisa. And the second half, he's dealing with stam yenam, which is an isser derabanan. So we're going to see the halacha in the first half is a little bit different than the halacha in the second half, because one is deraisa, one's derabanan. This is actually really one case in the Gemara with two lashonos how to paskin, and it's a machloket rishonim. But the Shulchan Aruch basically is machalek between the two lashonos and the rishonim. And he goes a little bit more machmer when it's deraisa, a little more mekel when it's derabanan, because the first half is yein nesach, the second half is stam yenam. Okay, let's read it again. So you have a pit or a vat of wine, kosher wine, and then you pour in some water. Say a gallon of water pours in. It's going to help you a little bit for batel reasons. We'll see. And then comes yein nesach and falls in. So you first have the water, then you have the yein nesach. If the water is afterwards, we're going to see it's a different halacha. So rowing et yain heter ki'ilo eno. If you first started out with kosher wine and then water, so then you can conceptually eliminate the kosher wine for our purposes of bittul. And then hamayim shenaflu misharim im yesh behem kedei levatel ta'am oto yein nesach. So you only need enough water to be mevatel the flavor of the yein nesach. You don't need enough water to be mevatel the yein nesach plus the yein mutter together. You need less. You only need enough water to be mevatel the yein nesach. We conceptually pretend there's no yein mutter yain over there for flavoring. So you can just have enough water to be mevatel the yein nesach, v'yakol mutter, and you're allowed to drink the whole thing. V'im stam yenam, this is the second. But if it's stam yenam, but here in the first case, if the water came after the yein nesach poured in, then you need enough water to be mevatel the mixture of all the wine together. But here, v'im stam yenam nitar b'yein shalheter. But if it's stam yenam that mixes with yain shalheter, again, stam yenam is aser behana, but it's only midrabanan. Afilu lo nafal tocha kiton shamayim elo b'sof, and then the water gets added at the end. Doesn't matter at the beginning or at the end. It makes no difference. Then you need enough. All you need is enough water to be mevatel the aser wine. And you don't have to. You don't calculate in the mutter wine, and then if it's mevatel it, then the whole thing is mutter. Okay, next, let's go to hey, kama yeheba mayim. How much water do you need? V'yehebahem kedei levatel ta'am hayayin. So you don't need shishim. If you're going to be mevatel water to wine, so the Shach points out it's only a din by water, not by other things. You need shishim. Only by water it works to have what we're about to say, but not wine and not any tavshil shemashpicho, any good flavors. Good. Then you'd for sure need shishim. Okay, so let's keep reading. How much do you need? It's shisha chalakim kenegdo. You need 6 parts keneged the 1 part wine. As long as you have enough water, that's 6 parts water. So then mutter, everything becomes mutter because the wine is completely batel. It's not wine anymore. Afilu b'shtia, you can even drink it. The im ein b'mayim kashir hazeh. Now, if you don't have enough water to be mevatel the yain, so then what do you do if you have a little bit of yain that's aser? So we're going to see, generally, we're talking about stam yenam over here. We'll keep it simple. This halacha, you can see the shach. To keep it simple, this halacha refers to stam yenam, because if it's mamish yein nesach and it's not batel, then it could be that it's aser b'kol shehu, and you can't do this trick. This we learned just recently, 1 or 2 days ago. Again, so im ein b'mayim kashir azeh mocher hakol lagoyim chutz midemei yain. I have yain nesach shabo, but I think it's supposed to be stam yenam shabo. See the shach. Okay, so then what do you do? So then, even though the whole thing is aser behana, it's only the part that's yain stam that's aser behana. So you can sell the whole thing minus the amount of value of that yain stam, and then you either throw that away or don't collect it. Right? We learned that before. Miu lo yimkor lagoy harbe biyachad, but right. The Shach just points out again. He always points this out that we're only allowing you to sell this the case when it's makom. We're makel to call it mutter behana if it's the makom hefsed. So that's why he says you're supposed to sell part of it lachatchila, because really nowadays the Rama holds you never have wine that's aser behana. Okay, but that's b'makom hefsed. If you can easily recoup your losses and sell it, then that's what you're supposed to do. Miu lo yimkor lagoyim harbe biyachad. You shouldn't sell one. Okay, really, what he's about to just say is never sell an item to a non-Jew that non-Jew will now sell to a Jew, and the Jew will think it's kosher. So if you nowadays it's not so relevant because we're trained never to buy something with a hashkacha. Yeah, for anything. So here, let's read it inside. Miu lo yimkor lagoyim harbe biyachad. Don't sell a lot of this wine together that has some mixed in iser. So therefore, it's aser without removing part of it. V'yimkor amayim liYisrael, because then the non-Jew is going to sell it to a Jew, and the Jew won't know that there's a mixture of iser in here. V'uadin b'kol davar hadin asar b'mashu. Anytime you have something that's asar b'mashu because of a mashu, v'nikach min hagoyim din hachi, and then then you want to sell it to a goy. It's the same halacha, because the Jew won't know that there's a little mixture in there, and he won't know to take that out. So im natan yain bekelim asurim machmat yain nesach ketza misharim levato. Okay, sorry, we're going to get there soon. Okay, let's go to vav. Okay, vav chometz shel goyim shenafal letoch yain shel heter. So wine vinegar is a problem because before it became vinegar, it was wine, and stam yenam is aser. Okay, so but generally speaking, all wine vinegar from a goy is going to be aser without a proper hashkacha, because that it was made without goyim around, because it's. So let's read. Chometz shel goyim. So now, if you add chometz of goyim into kosher wine, O yain shel goyim shenafal l'chometz shel heter. Either one was kosher, one was not. Vinegar with wine. So then the halacha is benotein ta'am, because it's min b'she'eno mina, and therefore it's batel b'shishim. Okay. So if it's a ta'am lifgam, so then you don't need shishim. But we're going to see that again with a few examples as we go on. Chet. Zayin. Right. Now the Shach just points out also we go after the shame. So even if it were to have the same flavor, chometz is called chometz and yain is called yain. So therefore, it has a different name, and that's also even if it has the same flavor, we're still say it's batel b'shishim. You go by the name, and the Ramah says nowadays we always go by shishim. Okay, that was the Shach. Okay, let's go on to Chet. Yain shel goyim, ben yashan ben chadash. Okay, so now you have wine, freshly made wine, if you want to call it wine, or grape juice. Basically, yashan it has taste like wine. It's been fermented, and it's fresh wine or fresh grape juice that's just been squeezed out of the grapes. Shenafal al anavim. So now they spill on grapes. So basically the question is, what do you do with the grapes? Okay, we're talking about stam yenam. Can you drink the grapes? So we're going to see that it has a din of, it's two separate items, min b'she'eno mino. So therefore, how does that play out? Im hashem shlemot. If the grapes are whole, so no problem. Yedichem, you just rinse them out. They're shlemim on the vine, you just rinse them out. Vehe mutarot b'achila. And then all you do is rinse it under the sink, 100% mutar. Ve'im heim muvukaot or shenital uktzan. But what if they're split, they're cracked, they're slit, or you pluck them off I don't know if the word is correct, or the stem. You pluck it off the stem, and therefore you have that little hole on the top, a little bit of an opening. So then, where are we? Then it can enter the grape a little bit, the flavor. So if it's notein ta'am, it's aser. Now most of the grape was mutter, but you have a ta'am in there that's aser. So if the ta'am goes in there and you can't get it out, so what do? You sell the whole grape, and then from your profit, or from the sell, whatever you get for it, you remove. It's obviously going to be insignificant, but it's something, very small amount. That amount you throw away. The value of the wine, how much wine got poured in there. Aval lo yimkerem kamo shehem. Don't sell the grapes the way they are to a non-Jew. Shema yachzer v'yimkerem liYisrael, because the non-Jew might sell them to a Jew, and the Jew won't know that he has to. He can't eat it. V'im is it's not tam. V'im ein bo kedei litain ta'am mutarot b'achila. But if there's going to be no flavor, okay, I don't know exactly lamaisa how this plays out, if there is a flavor or not. But if there is no flavor in there, then it's not a problem. You rinsed it out. There's no flavor in there, and it's mutar b'achila. Right. So if you want to sell it, you have to turn all the grapes into wine. The case of selling it without having an issue, again, I don't know if usually, it can end up in the marketplace. Yeah, so you would have to take these grapes and turn it into wine and then sell the wine. That's the way to solve the problem. Okay, let's go to Tet. Yain shel goyim shenafal al gabe te'enim mutarim. If wine of stam yenam falls onto your figs, it's mutter. Even if it's not shishim, even if it's theoretically notein ta'am, mipnei shahayayin pogem b'ta'am te'enim, because wine objectively gives bad flavor to the figs. It's not the flavor you're looking for when you serve figs.
You said stump. Does it make a difference if it's
Yeh nesech or stam.
But a ship that came in with thousands upon thousands of pigs that are Yain Nesach Poem. It doesn't say
Right,
Stam.
right.
So the Stam
Right.
is applicable to Yain Nesach, and therefore, because Yain Stam is the Rabbanon,
Okay. So Yud. Nafal al adashim useorim. What if wine of goyim they fall on lentils or barley? Koyotze behem yedichem. All you have to do, they're closed. All you have to do is rinse them off. Vehem mutarim, and then you can eat them. You can make your bread out of them, cook them. Ve'im avar alehem zman rav. But if they were soaking on them for a long time, vadai balao, for sure it got absorbed. And the Taz holds it's almost, this Zman Rav is almost immediate, and the Shach doesn't understand where he gets it from, because that's not Zman Rav, and he holds it's Me'et Le'et. It has to be, for it to be called Zman Rav, it has to be 24 hours. Okay, Ve'ein Lehem Heter Ba'adacha, and there's no way to rinse it out, because once it goes in, it doesn't come out. U'mesharim utam benotein tam. So it needs to be Batil B'shishim, and then it's mutter, otherwise it's not. Okay, Yud Aleph. Nafal gabe chitim. What if they fall on wheat kernels? Ein lehem heter v'hadacha. So they never have a heter when you rinse them off. Mipnei, of course, unless it's batal b'shishim. Why? Mipnei shemitoch sheyesh behem sedek. They naturally, automatically, they all come with a crack in them. V'hayayin nivla behem. And the wine, if it got poured on them, will go through inside, and you can't get it out. Lefichach, im yesh B'yayin kedeli tein tam asurot b'achila. So if it's no tein tam, it's asur. V'leim kerem lagoy. Again, don't sell. You have this bag of kernels that wine spilled on it. You can't sell these wheat kernels to the goy because it's asur, and he's going to sell it to a Jew. Shama yachzor v'yim kerem liYisrael. He might sell it to a Jew. Ela ketzad osa. What do? We had this by the wine. Tochei notam v'osa mehem pat. So grind them down, turn it into flour, bake it into bread. Mochra lagoy shelo bifnei Yisrael, and then you sell the bread to a goy, and he's gonna say, and you diminish, you take away the profit, the money that you make from the little bit of wine that goes in there. In other words, you can sell it for almost full price, or you sell it for full price and almost keep all the money. Umorcha lagoy shelo bifnei Yisrael. But not in front of not in front of a Jew. V'imhu b'makom, because then the Jew will think it's kosher and buy it from him. V'imhu b'makom shenagu lachol pat goyim ein lo takana. And if you live in a place where everyone buys from the non-kosher bakery or non-kosher Jews, from non-Jews or non-Jewish bakery, so then you have no takana because a Jew is going to buy from him. And nowadays we don't do that, so it's not a problem. Haga mochram lagoyim kiim beprusot she'asur liknot me'agoyim b'chol makom. And so what do? You sell them as slices because no Jew is going to buy. Even if you buy whole bread from a non-Jew, you're not going to buy slices from a non-Jew. Okay, whatever. It depends on the mitzias. Okay, maybe we'll stop here and then.